Welcome again, and to what is quickly becoming the unboxing channel. Because as many times as I say that I want to do fewer unboxings, I just don't ever get around to doing fewer unboxings. The unboxings kind of force themselves upon me, whereas other episodes rely on inspiration. I mean, I guess the purchasing of the books and other items rely on inspiration as well. Now, let me make sure this is actually mine, because I've received a couple of packages that were for someone in another building. This is me. And this is from Discover Books. I think I know what this is, and that's how you don't open a box when you think you did. I'm not even going to blame this on the people who packaged it either, because that was just ridiculous on my part. I believe that this is going to be in my Colonial America reading pile, which I need to start. I think I'm going to start early before Easter, and you know what happens now. Recycling. All right. Yes, this is, and of course, once again, like they did with the Raymond Chandler one, they put the code thing right on something. Got to peel that off. This is at the crossroads, Indians and Empires on a mid-Atlantic frontier. Yeah. Again, another history book. The thing is, I love when I'm reading these. Oh, it still has a paperclip in it. Got an extra for my money. So I do like when I read books that overlap a little bit, because like I've said before, you get to see different people's perspectives on the same subject matter. I'm getting a dumb alert. It's funny how the software that causes the most problems on computers seems to be the one that's supposed to stop the malware. And it's like, the irony of that is amazing. I'm not even gonna try to cut this. I'm just gonna hulk it open. Oh, you know what? This is not in that particular vein. This is a book on DNA by a man named David Reich. I tell you what, I'm not really sure how I feel about this book. A lot of times I get books that are in this particular field, and either the science is really bad, or the science is surfing along on a bunch of talk that clearly was what the person really wanted to write a book about, and they just found some science to back up. We'll see if this is. I'm going to give David Reich his fair shake, but it's who we are and how we got here, ancient DNA and the new science of human past. I'm just really fascinated by books that are about, that use science to try to figure out us. As a matter of fact, is it in my book bag? I'm almost finished reading one that I don't think I unboxed. Yes. This one, which I've been reading off and on, Dataclysm by Christian Rudder, who was one of the guys who founded OkCupid. And basically what he does is he goes into the data from various dating and social media sites. If you ever wondered where your data's going, guys like Christian are making statistics out of it. And finds all kinds of neat things about the way people date, the way they interact with each other, and just stuff like that. It's fascinating. It's really fascinating, because it's one of those things where, unlike surveys where people can say what they think makes them look good, this data is based on what people actually do when they actually talk to each other, when they actually go on dates, when they actually make friends, break friends, and the way that the people genuinely interact rather than the way that they present themselves. And virtue signaling is such a problem that it's often really hard to get to what's really going on with people. And what research like that does is it actually measures people's actions. And actions, of course, speak far louder than words. There's two things in here. The first one is another set of things I just kind of want to have around as a reference. I'm probably not going to read this all the way through. I'll probably go into it when I'm trying to find something specifically. So this is more of a reference book than a to-read book. It's Early American Houses, a glossary of colonial architectural terms. I'm just fascinated by architecture. I'm currently looking to buy a house, and one of my things is I would prefer to have an older house. you know, pre-1850 if possible. And this just is just full of, I mean, if I just do the little flip through that you do, just full of designs and photographs of old houses. This stuff, oh, that's a salt box. And salt box is a type of house, sort of New England. You ever see a roof that's sort of short in the front and then it slopes a long way in the back? That's a salt box house. Anyway, this is, like I said, just a reference. The other day I was really fascinated by architecture, and I realized that I don't personally have. I keep having to go to the internet to look things up, and it would be nice to be able to get away from a screen for a while, just sit down and you know, pour yourself a glass and just actually read a book. So I bought several books in that vein. I don't think the rest of them are anywhere close to being here yet. Now, this is a game. New Bedford, Rising Tide. Now, as you may have noticed, I buy a lot of nautical games. And this particular game is all about setting up a town, sending out ships, being very careful about how far you send them out. There's a, you know, it's a resource-based game, which I'm not really too much into that, but this looked like it kept that dynamic fairly simple. I see only 3 types of resources here, so you know, a lot of games that I know are very popular, but they are very, very technical when it comes to the resources, and it also has some meeple placement features to it, which is something else I'm not really into. But the fact that this is about the Age of Sail just kind of sold it for me. You know, as you know, I love that period, not just for the sailing, but just in general. I like that period in history. So you make a game, and you can put resources and meeple placement in it, and I'll still buy it because I'm a sucker. This is a large box. I'm kind of hoping that there are going to be multiple things in it, and maybe something that might even surprise me that I forgot that I ordered, because I'll tell you something. If I'm poking around and I see something that you know how the economy works, what one person values is not what another person values. If I see something that I really like and whoever is selling it is like, hey, yeah, $1.50, I'm like, wow, I have to get that. Oh, well, this was another one. This is another one about human nature. It goes back into the Dataclysm and the one about DNA that I had earlier. This is by Joe Navarro, who was an FBI special agent, retired, and it's just basically a dictionary of body language, which is something that fascinates me. Again, this is probably going to be, yeah, this is more of a reference book. I'm just going to keep this around. This is not only good in, you know, for practical use, like in daily life, but if you're a writer, knowing what gestures mean, because we kind of instinctively understand these things. If you put those sorts of things into your writing and the way that people are moving, your readers will pick up on it just instinctively and figure out which characters are the good ones and which characters are oh, you know what? I think which characters are the bad ones and which characters are the good ones. Finish my thought first. I think the New Bedford game that I just showed you is actually an expansion of this game. I think this is the actual, because I did get the expansion when I got this. Yes, this is the actual game. I mean, as you can see, it pretty much describes the same game. I believe the expansion was to add some new buildings and to allow for 5 players. The original is for 1 to 4 players. 1 player? You can play this with 1 player? Well, guess what? Guess what me is going to do? I'm going to try this out. If you can play it with 1 player, I'm going to try it out. So yes, it's a town building game. I didn't know I was going to end on this. That's interesting. So this is the actual game itself, and the other thing that I showed you was the expansion. Interesting. I didn't think I was going to get both of these at the same time. I thought that it would take a while between them. Ever surprised. Anyway, thanks for watching my unboxing. I undoubtedly will have more for you later this week because, as I said, I have more architecture books on the way. And perhaps in that episode, I will speak specifically about colonial architecture, if I can, to my limited expertise. Cheers and thank you. Just share, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time for more Thoughts Elite.